Eli Grant worked the night shift when everyone else was asleep. The alien academy where he worked was massive, with tall silver halls and blue glowing floors that hummed softly as he cleaned. The aliens called him the Silent Human, because he spoke little and did his work quietly. He was a single father, a man who once dreamed of flying ships but now held a mop and bucket. Still, he didn't complain. Life had taken much from him, but not his kindness. Every night he cleaned the empty classrooms, the strange alien writing glowing on walls, the smell of chemicals and ozone filling the air. But one night something different caught his eye. Near the far end of the hall stood a little alien girl holding her mother's hand. She looked fragile, skin pale blue, eyes clouded like mist, small horns shining faintly. Her mother, an older alien woman dressed in a scientist's robe, spoke softly to a teacher, while the girl stood quietly, facing the wrong direction. Eli stopped mopping for a moment. He noticed the girl didn't blink when bright lights flickered overhead. She didn't turn when voices echoed nearby. Everyone around seemed used to it. He overheard one of the teachers whisper, "Poor child. Born blind." The words made Eli's heart tighten a little. He had seen suffering before, but something about that small girl felt different. Too calm, too aware. When her mother turned away for a moment, the girl's head tilted slightly as if listening to something no one else could hear. Eli's flashlight slipped from his hand and rolled across the floor, hitting a chair leg. The light beam moved across the tiles. Then, for a split second, the girl's head followed the light. Eli froze. The motion was small, almost impossible to notice. But he had seen it. Her mother didn't. The girl's lips moved slightly, whispering something. Maybe a name, maybe a warning. Eli didn't know. He picked up his flashlight slowly and kept watching her. When her mother came back and took her hand, the girl turned again, directly facing Eli. Her pale eyes met his. He felt a chill crawl down his spine. There was something in those eyes, something that didn't belong to darkness. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat in his small, messy apartment, staring out the window. His son Leo was already asleep in the next room. Eli kept thinking about that little alien girl. How could she know where the light was? Was it just luck, reflex, or something more? The next evening, Eli went to work early. The halls were quiet again. He cleaned the library, the cafeteria, the upper labs. Then, in the corridor near the classrooms, he saw her again. The same girl standing beside a plant, alone this time. Her mother wasn't there. The girl was touching the leaves gently as if she could see them through her fingers. Eli hesitated, then stepped closer. "Hey there," he said softly. "You lost?" The girl didn't answer. She just kept touching the plant. He crouched down and smiled a little. "It's pretty, huh? Soft leaves." She turned her head toward him slowly. "I know," she whispered. Her voice was gentle but sure. "You can tell by touch?" Eli asked kindly. She shook her head. "No. I can see their light." Eli blinked. "Light?" But before he could ask more, the girl's mother appeared suddenly. Her face turned pale when she saw him talking to her daughter. "Don't bother her," she said sharply, pulling the girl close. "She doesn't talk to strangers." Eli stood up quickly. "I'm sorry, ma'am." "I didn't mean—" "Please," the mother said, her tone softer now but full of fear. "She's special. Just don't talk to her again." Then she walked away fast, leaving Eli standing there confused. He watched them go down the hall. The little girl looked back once, right at him again. Her white eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, and she smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. It was knowing, secretive. Eli's heart raced. He knew what he saw. That child was not blind. From that night, the human janitor couldn't get her out of his mind. He had cleaned that academy for years and seen many strange things, but never anything like this. There was something hidden behind those pale eyes, something her mother was desperately trying to protect, and Eli Grant, the quiet janitor no one noticed, had just seen the first glimpse of a secret that would change both their lives forever. Eli couldn't forget the look in that little girl's eyes. He replayed that moment again and again, the pale alien child turning her head toward his light, her soft voice saying, "I can see their light." Those words stayed in his mind like an echo. The next few nights, he tried to stay focused on work, but curiosity kept pulling him back to the same hallway where he had first met her. Every time he passed by, he hoped to see her again. But the girl and her mother were nowhere to be found. Then one late evening, he noticed something strange. The lights in the west wing of the academy flickered on and off, and he saw a shadow move inside one of the sealed labs. No one was supposed to be there at that hour. Eli slowly stepped closer. Through the glass window, he saw the girl's mother, Sarah Vinn. She stood over a table filled with glowing vials, their light softly humming. Her hands moved quickly, mixing strange liquids that changed colors like living fire. Eli couldn't understand alien science, but he could tell it was something important and forbidden. Then he noticed the girl. She was standing near the corner of the room, not blindfolded, not lost. Her eyes glowed faintly silver as she watched her mother work. The glow from the vials reflected in her eyes as if she could see the energy itself. Eli gasped quietly. It was true. The girl wasn't blind at all. Before he could move, Sarah suddenly turned her head. Her sharp alien eyes locked on him through the glass. For a second, Eli thought she might attack him, but instead she hurried to the door and came out, closing it behind her fast. "What are you doing here, human?" she asked in a low, tense voice. Eli stepped back. "I was just cleaning. I saw lights inside. I didn't mean to." "You shouldn't be here," she said, her tone cold but shaky. "This area is restricted. Leave now." Eli nodded, but before he left, he looked at her daughter again through the small window. The little girl waved softly at him. That small motion made Sarah freeze. "Don't speak to her again," she whispered, stepping closer to Eli. "You don't understand what's at risk." "What's going on?" he asked quietly. "I don't want trouble, but that girl, she's not blind, is she?" Sarah's expression hardened. "She is different, and if the council finds out, they will take her from me. Forever." Eli frowned. "Why? She's just a child." "You think the council cares about children?" Sarah hissed. "They care about power. They fear what they don't control. My daughter was born seeing things no one should see. Energy, life, thoughts. She sees the truth, and that makes her dangerous to them." Eli stayed silent. He could hear the fear in Sarah's voice. It wasn't anger, it was pain. "I can help," he said softly. "I won't tell anyone." Sarah stared at him for a long moment, then shook her head. "Humans always say that," she said quietly. "But when fear grows, words break." She turned and walked away, locking the lab behind her. Eli stood there alone, confused but determined. Something inside him told him he couldn't just ignore this. He had seen too much. The next night, when he came to clean, the girl was sitting in the corridor outside the lab. Sarah was gone. The child turned her head toward him immediately. "Hello again," Eli said gently. She smiled. "You came back," he nodded. "You shouldn't be here alone." "I'm never alone," she said softly, touching her chest. "There's light inside everyone. I can see it." Eli sat down on a nearby bench. "Your mother said it's dangerous if others find out." The girl nodded slowly. "They don't like what they can't hide." "My mother says my eyes can see lies." Eli frowned. "See lies?" She tilted her head. "When people speak, their light changes. When they lie, it turns dark." He was speechless. A child who could see truth itself? No wonder her mother was terrified. Before Eli could ask more, Sarah appeared again, her face pale and scared. "Inside now," she shouted, pulling the girl close. "You shouldn't talk to him." Eli stood up, guilt washing over him. "I didn't mean harm," he said. Sarah looked at him with trembling hands. "You're kind, human. I see that. But kindness can kill us if you keep asking questions." Her voice cracked as she pulled her daughter away. "Please, forget what you saw." The door closed behind them. Eli stood there for a long time, listening to the faint hum from the lab. He could almost feel the truth burning behind that door. He wanted to help, but he didn't know how. And as he walked away that night, he didn't notice the small security drone blinking red above him, silently recording everything. Something had begun, something that neither Eli nor Sarah could stop anymore. The next morning, the academy buzzed with its usual rhythm, students rushing through glowing corridors, alien teachers discussing research, and Eli quietly pushing his cleaning cart through the halls. Yet under that calm surface, his mind was restless. He couldn't stop thinking about the girl with the cloudy eyes who claimed she could see light inside people. He wanted to believe it was just a child's imagination, but deep down Eli knew she wasn't lying. He had seen that strange silver glow in her eyes, the way she tracked light without ever looking. And after what her mother had said, the fear, the warning, he realized there was a deeper truth hidden in that academy. That afternoon, the headmaster called an unexpected meeting. Security cameras in the West Wing caught unauthorized activity, the headmaster said, his voice echoing through the hall. Someone was inside a restricted lab after hours. Eli froze. His hands tightened around his mop handle. They saw me, he thought. But to his surprise, Sarah Vinn stepped forward. It was me, she said calmly. My daughter wasn't feeling well. I was preparing medicine. The headmaster frowned but nodded. Next time, report before entering restricted areas. Eli's chest loosened with relief. She had protected him. But why? Later that day, when most of the staff had left, Eli stayed to clean the school courtyard. It was peaceful there, a wide-open area with alien flowers that glowed softly in the shade. That's when he saw her again, the same little girl sitting quietly under a tree. Eli walked closer. Hey, kiddo, he said gently. You like being out here? She smiled faintly. It's quiet. The light doesn't hurt here. Eli tilted his head. The light hurts you? She nodded. Too bright makes the colors scream. He didn't know what that meant, but before he could ask, a group of older alien students came into the courtyard, laughing and talking loudly. One of them noticed her and whispered something cruel. Another smirked. Hey, look! The blind one's alone again. They tossed small paper gliders toward her, made of thin energy sheets that shimmered under the sun. Eli frowned and started to walk over, but something stopped him. The girl didn't react to their teasing. She stayed calm, her hands folded in her lap. Then one of the gliders caught the sunlight perfectly and reflected it toward her face. In that instant, her eyes glowed, just for a heartbeat. A sharp silver shimmer flickered deep inside them, and the glider froze mid-air before falling gently to the ground beside her. The laughing students went silent. So did Eli. The girl reached down and picked up the glider. She smiled softly and whispered, You dropped this. The students stared, then quickly ran away without a word. The courtyard was silent again, except for the faint hum of energy in the air. Eli's skin tingled. He had seen it clearly this time. She had reacted to the light. But more than that, the glider had stopped moving as if the air itself obeyed her. Eli walked over, kneeling beside her. You okay? She nodded slowly. They don't like me. They think I'm strange, Eli sighed. Kids can be cruel. But you're not strange. You're special. She looked up at him, eyes still glowing faintly. My mother says that's dangerous. Maybe, Eli said softly. But sometimes the world just isn't ready for the special ones. She smiled at that, a sad little smile. You're kind, human janitor. He laughed lightly. Eli. My name's Eli. I like your light, she said suddenly. It's warm. Like the sun. That line made his throat tighten. It reminded him of his son Leo, who used to say the same thing when he was small, before his sickness took his laughter away. Eli was about to reply when a sharp sound echoed from behind them, a metallic hum. He turned to see a small floating drone hovering above, its red sensor blinking. He hadn't noticed it earlier. It was scanning them. The girl tensed. They're watching again, she whispered. Eli frowned. Who's watching? The ones who fear the light, she said softly, gripping his hand. They want to take it away. Before Eli could ask what she meant, the drone zipped off toward the academy tower. He stood there, his heart pounding. Something was wrong. The council must have seen the energy reading from the courtyard. And if they did, they'd come for her. And maybe for Sarah, too. As the girl walked away with her small steps, Eli looked at the glider lying in the grass. The paper's edge was singed like it had touched lightning. That night, while he worked in the dim corridors, Eli made a decision. He couldn't stay silent anymore. That child was in danger, and if no one else would protect her, he would. But he didn't know that by doing so, he had just put himself in the center of a secret that could shake the entire alien world. The academy looked peaceful from the outside that night. Stars glowed above the alien city, and the silver towers reflected the moonlight beautifully. But inside something felt wrong. Eli could sense it. The halls were too quiet, too still. He moved his mop slowly across the glowing floor, but his mind wasn't on work. He kept thinking about the little alien girl, about how her eyes had glowed like stars when the sunlight hit them. He had seen strange things before, machines breaking, lights flickering, shadows that moved when no one was there, but nothing like her. That silver light in her eyes haunted him. It wasn't just reflection. It was alive. As he cleaned, Eli noticed something unusual. The corridor leading to the lower labs had been sealed off for weeks, yet tonight, the lights there were on. Faint blue glows seeped through the cracks in the door. He hesitated, then followed his gut and walked toward it. Inside the lab, the air was cold, humming with energy. The walls were covered with strange alien markings pulsing softly. And standing in the center was the little girl, alone. Her mother was nowhere to be seen. The girl's small hands hovered over a glass sphere filled with liquid light. Her eyes shimmered faintly, silver and calm. Around her, the instruments flickered as if responding to her. Eli froze at the doorway. "Kid, what are you doing here?" he whispered. The girl didn't move. Her voice, small and soft, replied, "I wanted to see." Eli stepped closer. "It's dangerous in here. You shouldn't." "I'm not supposed to open my eyes," she said. "But I wanted to see your light again." He frowned. "My light?" She turned to him slowly, and when she opened her eyes fully, Eli's breath caught. Her pupils weren't normal. They weren't even black or blue like other aliens. They were made of silver threads spinning gently, glowing brighter the longer he looked. In them, he saw movement, shapes, a swirl of color and motion that wasn't part of this world. And then, for a brief second, he saw something else. His own reflection. But behind him in the reflection stood shadows, dark figures that weren't really there. Eli jumped and looked behind him. Nothing. The room was empty. "What? What do you see?" he asked carefully. "I see truth," the girl said softly. "I see what hides behind light." Eli's heart pounded. "Does your mother know you're here?" The girl shook her head. "She's scared. She says my eyes shouldn't be open in front of others. She says they'll take me away if they see." Eli crouched beside her, his voice gentle. "Who's they?" "The council," she whispered. "They call me a vision-born. They think I'm dangerous because I can see what they can't hide." Before Eli could respond, the door suddenly slid open behind them. Sarah Vinn stormed in, her face pale with panic. "What are you doing here?" she cried, rushing to her daughter and pulling her away from the glowing sphere. "Wait," Eli said quickly. "She wasn't enough," Sarah shouted, her eyes fierce but full of fear. "You shouldn't be here, human. You have no idea what you're looking at." "I know she's not blind," Eli said firmly. "And I know you're hiding something." Sarah's face softened for a moment. "You think I want to hide her?" she said, her voice trembling. "I'm trying to keep her alive." Eli looked at the little girl who now clung to her mother's arm. "She's a child," he said quietly. "Not a weapon." Sarah looked at him for a long time, her eyes filling with tears. "You don't understand," she whispered. "The last Vision-born were hunted by the council. They fear them. They think they can control minds, see secrets, destroy lies. My daughter doesn't even know what she truly is." Eli stepped forward. "Then teach her. Don't let them take her." Sarah shook her head. "It's not that simple. They already suspect her. There are eyes everywhere." As if on cue, a faint mechanical click echoed from the ceiling. Eli looked up and saw a small drone hiding in the corner, blinking red. Sarah gasped. "No!" The drone zipped away before either of them could react. "They saw her eyes," Sarah whispered. "It's over." Eli grabbed her arm gently. "Then let me help you. I've seen how the council works. They'll twist this into something ugly, but I won't let them touch her." Sarah looked at him, doubt and hope warring inside her. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why would a human janitor risk everything for us?" Eli looked at the little girl and smiled faintly. "Because I once had a daughter too," he said quietly. "And she was different, just like yours." Sarah's eyes softened. For the first time, she didn't look at him like a stranger. She looked at him like someone who might actually understand. She nodded slowly. "Then we move tonight," she whispered, "before they come for her." And as the lights of the academy flickered above them, Eli realized that the quiet life he once had was gone forever. He had stepped into a secret far larger than anything he'd ever known, a secret glowing inside a child's hidden eyes. Eli couldn't sleep that night. The memory of those silver eyes haunted him like a dream that refused to fade. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, small, gentle, and glowing with a light that didn't belong to this world. And he kept hearing Sarah's words over and over. The last Vision-born were hunted by the council. By dawn, he had made up his mind. He needed answers. If the council wanted that child gone, there had to be a reason, and he would find it. When he arrived at the academy early the next morning, everything felt tense. The guards were on edge, security drones hovered lower, and whispers filled the halls. Something had happened. Eli kept his head down, pretending to mop, but his mind was racing. He noticed Sarah's lab had been sealed with red lights. "Under council investigation," the panel said. His heart sank. They were already moving against her. He knew there was only one place left that could hold the truth: the forbidden lab, buried beneath the academy, closed after the Great War, the same place where he had once found the strange records that mentioned vision-born children. Late that night, when the corridors emptied, Eli made his move. He slipped past the guards using his cleaning pass. Most of them ignored him. No one ever looked twice at a janitor. He descended the service tunnels where dust covered forgotten machines, and lights flickered weakly. At the end of the corridor was a heavy door marked with alien symbols. The lock was half broken. He pushed it open carefully. Inside, the room was dark, except for a few glowing panels still alive after decades. Old files floated in holographic screens, covered in strange alien language. Eli searched the archives using the few alien words he had learned. One folder glowed brighter when he touched it. It translated roughly to Project Vin. His eyes widened. Sierra's name. He opened the file, and his breath caught. The hologram showed rows of alien infants, all with faintly glowing eyes. A voice played from the old recording. Vision-born subjects capable of perceiving energy fields. Potential for telepathic sensitivity. Dangerous if uncontrolled. Another clip followed, this one chilling. All subjects terminated except one. Eli's hands trembled. Except one. That meant the little girl was the last of them. Sarah must have saved her own child from the purge. No wonder the council feared her. They thought the vision-born could expose secrets hidden in minds, see guilt, lies, and corruption. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. "You shouldn't be here, human." Eli spun around. Two alien soldiers stood at the doorway, weapons ready. Their armor bore the council's crest. He raised his hands slowly. "I'm just cleaning," he said, forcing calm into his voice. One of the guards stepped forward. "You accessed restricted data. That's treason." Before they could move closer, a shadow emerged from the dark corner. Sarah. Her face was pale, her eyes fierce. "He's with me," she said sharply. "Lower your weapons." The guards hesitated. "Council orders." "Come from me," she interrupted, stepping forward with authority. "I'm still chief of research." The guards looked at each other, unsure, then slowly backed away. As soon as they were gone, Sarah turned to Eli. "You fool," she whispered, grabbing his arm. "Do you want to die?" Eli stared at her. "I had to know. They tried to kill your daughter's kind." "Why?" Sarah's eyes glistened. "Because she can see the truth," she said softly. "The vision-born don't just see energy. They can see lies. Every deception, every hidden sin, her eyes reveal it. The council built their power on lies. To them, she's a weapon that could destroy everything they've built." Eli's heart sank. "Then we can't stay here," Sarah nodded. "I've prepared a transport. But there's one more thing we need." She walked to a sealed chamber at the far end of the lab and pressed her hand against the door. It opened with a hiss, revealing a glowing pod. Inside was a sphere of pure energy, the source that had once powered the vision-born experiments. "This," Sarah said, "is her link. Without it, her power will burn out. We must take it with us." Before Eli could respond, alarms blared across the facility. Red lights flashed. A cold voice spoke through the speakers. "Security breach detected. Human subject identified. Vision-born containment initiated." Eli and Sarah exchanged a terrified look. "She knows," Sarah whispered. "They've found us." "Who?" Eli asked. "The High Chancellor herself." Heavy footsteps thundered from the hallway outside. Eli grabbed the energy sphere and handed it to Sarah. "Take it and go." "I'll hold them off." Sarah's eyes widened. "You'll be killed." Eli smiled faintly. "Maybe, but I've lost one child already. I won't lose another." Before she could stop him, he pushed the lab door shut and locked it from the outside. As guards approached, he grabbed a broken tool from the ground, his only weapon, and faced the hallway filled with flashing red lights. For the first time in years, the quiet human janitor felt alive again. And deep within the lab, as Sarah and her daughter fled through the hidden tunnels, the little girl's eyes opened wide. "I can see him," she whispered. "He's shining brighter than ever." The sound of alarms echoed through the underground halls like the heartbeat of danger. Red lights flashed across the metal walls and the air filled with the hum of charging weapons. Sarah ran through the narrow tunnels, clutching the glowing sphere close to her chest. Beside her, her daughter moved quickly, her small hands trembling but her steps sure. "Mother," the girl whispered. "They're coming." "I know," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Don't look back, my light. We just need to reach the lower gate." But even as she said it, she felt her chest tighten. She knew Eli had stayed behind, alone, against the council's guards. Eli stood in the corridor above, gripping the broken metal rod like it was a sword. The heavy boots of the soldiers grew louder. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a soldier. He was a janitor, a father, a man who had already lost too much. But this time, he wasn't going to run. The first two guards turned the corner, their eyes glowing beneath silver helmets. "Stand down, human," one ordered. "You have interfered with council property." Eli didn't move. "She's not property," he said firmly. "She's a child." They raised their rifles. Eli ducked behind a column as the air crackled with plasma fire. Sparks flew, burning through his uniform. He swung his metal rod, hitting one guard's weapon aside. The blast scorched the wall beside him, lighting the corridor in bright blue. The fight was hopeless, but Eli didn't care. He needed time for Sarah and her daughter to escape. He took another hit, his shoulder burning from the impact, but he forced himself to stand. Then, everything stopped. A bright silver light filled the corridor, soft at first, then growing until it drowned out the red alarm flashes. The soldiers froze mid-step, their weapons humming uselessly in their hands. Eli blinked through the glow and saw her. The little alien girl stood at the far end of the hallway, her mother behind her. She wasn't scared anymore. Her eyes, once pale and cloudy, now burned with living silver fire. The air around her shimmered like rippling water. Energy bent, walls vibrated, and light itself seemed to obey her. "Stop," Sarah shouted, reaching toward her daughter. "You'll burn yourself." But the girl only whispered, "He's hurt, Mother." "I can't stop." The energy burst outward, surrounding Eli and the guards. He felt warmth, not pain, but something pure and strong. His wounds closed, the burn on his shoulder vanished, and his breathing steadied. The soldiers, however, stumbled back, dropping their weapons as their armor sparked violently. The light grew brighter until everything disappeared in silver radiance. Then silence. When the glow faded, the guards were lying unconscious on the ground. Eli stood, stunned, as the little girl ran to him. "You're okay now," she said softly, her voice shaking. Eli knelt down to meet her gaze. You saved me," he said, his eyes wide. She nodded. "I saw your light fading. I couldn't let it go out." Sarah approached slowly, tears in her eyes. "You shouldn't have used your gift, my child," she whispered, touching her daughter's face. "They'll sense it now. The council will know." The girl looked up at her. "They already know, Mother. They're watching." Almost as if she spoke the truth into existence, the ceiling speakers crackled to life and a cold, commanding voice echoed through the halls. "Vision-born detected. Termination order confirmed." Sarah's hands trembled. "They won't stop this time," she said, her voice breaking. Eli looked at the little girl who now stood beside him, her silver eyes glowing faintly even in the dim light. "Then we make them stop," he said firmly. "We run, we hide, whatever it takes, but they won't touch her." Sarah shook her head. "You don't understand. The council will destroy anyone who shelters her." "You'll die for this," Eli smiled faintly. "I already died once when I lost my family. I'm not afraid anymore." For the first time, Sarah saw something in his eyes, something she hadn't seen in years. Not fear, not weakness, hope. The girl placed her small hand in Eli's. "Your light is strong," she said softly. "It makes mine stronger." He squeezed her hand gently. "Then let's keep it shining." They moved together through the tunnels, following the flickering emergency lights. Behind them, explosions echoed as the guards tried to breach the lab door. As they reached the exit gate, the sphere in Sarah's arms began to pulse brighter and brighter, responding to the child's power. The two lights, one from the sphere, one from the girl's eyes, merged into a brilliant silver glow that spread through the tunnel like dawn breaking underground. When the council soldiers finally reached the corridor Eli had defended, they found only scorched walls and fading light. The security feeds recorded the last image, 3 silhouettes walking through a burst of white brilliance, disappearing into the unknown. Above ground, as the night sky opened wide, Sarah looked back one last time at the academy towers. "Everything will change after this," she whispered. Eli nodded. "Maybe it's time someone changed it." The little girl looked up at the stars and smiled faintly. "I can see their light," she whispered. "It's calling to us." And as they walked into the vast alien desert, the wind carried away the sirens behind them, leaving only silence, stars, and the promise of something new. The desert stretched endlessly beneath twin alien moons glowing faint blue across the sand. The cold wind whispered softly, carrying dust and starlight. Eli, Sarah, and the little girl walked for hours until the academy lights became only a faint shimmer behind them. They stopped near a cliff overlooking the city below. From here they could see the tall council towers shining, powerful, and distant. The very heart of control. The place that wanted the child gone. Sarah sat down exhausted, her robes torn and dusty. "They'll come for us," she whispered. "There's no escaping them. They rule everything." Eli knelt beside her. "Then we don't run," he said quietly. "We show them the truth they're afraid of." She looked at him in disbelief. "You don't understand how deep their fear goes. The council built their empire on lies. The Vision-born see those lies. They will never allow her to live freely." Eli glanced at the child who was drawing patterns in the sand with her glowing fingers. Each line shimmered faintly before fading. "Maybe they can't stop her anymore," he said. "Maybe it's time someone looked them in the eye." Sarah hesitated, then sighed. "If we do this, they'll kill us all." Eli's tone was firm but kind. "Then let's make sure they have to kill the truth too." The girl looked up suddenly, her silvery eyes glowing in the moonlight. "They're watching," she whispered. "They're sending ships." A faint hum filled the air. In the distance, several dark shapes moved through the clouds, council crafts sleek and deadly scanning the desert. Sarah's heart pounded. "They found us," she said, pulling her daughter close. Eli stood tall, gripping his broken metal rod like before. Then we faced them together. Within minutes, beams of light struck the ground around them. A squad of armored soldiers surrounded the trio, their weapons humming with power. A tall alien stepped forward, her armor black and shining, the council emblem etched in silver across her chest. "Sarah Vin," the woman said coldly. "You are charged with treason against the council, and the human with you will be executed for aiding you." Sarah's voice trembled. "High Chancellor Neria," she said softly. "Please, my daughter means no harm. She's only a child." The Chancellor's gaze fell on the girl. "That is no child," she said sharply. "That is a Vision-born, a danger to order. We cannot allow her to live." Eli stepped between them, his voice calm but steady. "You're afraid of her because she can see what you hide. That's not danger, that's truth." The soldiers aimed their weapons. The Chancellor narrowed her eyes. "Human, step aside." Eli didn't move. "No," then the ground trembled. The little girl stood slowly, her small hands glowing brighter than ever before. "You hurt people because you can't see," she said softly. "But I can show you." A wave of light burst from her body, soft at first, then spreading like ripples across the air. It washed over the soldiers, over Eli, over Sarah, and finally over the Chancellor herself. In that light, illusions melted. The sky seemed to shimmer, and suddenly everyone saw things they had buried deep inside. Memories, lies, regrets. One soldier dropped his weapon, tears filling his eyes. Another fell to his knees, whispering apologies for unknown sins. The Chancellor gasped, clutching her head. "What are you doing?" she screamed. "Showing you," the girl said simply, her voice calm. "You built your empire on lies. But lies have light too. They just hide under fear." The Chancellor fell silent, staring at the child with wide eyes. Around them, the soldiers lowered their weapons one by one. The air became still again. Sarah reached for her daughter, her voice trembling. "Stop, my light." "You've done enough." The glow slowly faded. The girl's knees weakened, and Eli caught her before she fell. Her eyes dimmed, but she smiled faintly. "They see now," she whispered. "They finally see." Eli looked up at the Chancellor. "You saw it too, didn't you?" The alien woman was silent for a long time. Then slowly she deactivated her weapon. "She showed me my own fear," she said quietly. Perhaps the council has been blind." Syrah's tears fell freely. Will you let us live? The Chancellor nodded slowly. No more hunting. No more lies, go. The Council will not touch her again. Eli helped Syrah to her feet. The desert wind blew softly around them as dawn began to rise, painting the sky gold and pink. As the first light touched the horizon, the girl opened her eyes again, weak but smiling. It's beautiful, she said softly. So many colors. Eli smiled back, his voice gentle. That's the sunrise, kiddo. You can really see it now, can't you? She nodded, resting her head against his shoulder. Yes, and your light too. It's the brightest of all. Syrah looked at him with quiet gratitude. You didn't just save her, Eli, she said softly. You saved us all. Eli looked at the rising sun. No, he said with a small smile. She did. Above them, the twin moons faded as daylight filled the sky. For the first time in years, the alien city below gleamed not from cold power, but from truth. And somewhere deep within that light, the world began to change.